Here's something that might make you uncomfortable. Look at the wealthiest people in the world, the ones sitting in the top 1%, and ask yourself, how did they actually get there? Because if you strip everything down, the answer isn't luck. It isn't even hard work alone. The answer is ownership. Entrepreneurs own businesses, investors own assets, even athletes and entertainers who build generational wealth. They own the rights to their name, their brand, their rare skill. And the people who don't own anything, they get owned by debt, by a paycheck that runs out before the month does, by a system that is honestly designed to keep them in that cycle. Now, I know that sounds harsh. And you might be watching this thinking, Sloan, I don't even have enough left at the end of the month to think about owning anything. And that is exactly the problem. Not because you're bad with money, but because nobody ever sat down and showed you how to actually manage it. Today, I'm going to fix that. My name is Sloan. Welcome to Sloan Invests. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through a complete money management system that the top 1% actually use. Not the fake stuff. Not the cut your coffee nonsense. I'm talking about a framework that works whether you're earning $1,500 a month or $15,000 a month. A framework that I personally use, and one that is built on real financial principles, not hype. We're going to cover 4 key pillars: growth, stability, essentials, and yes, even how to actually enjoy your money. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where every naira, every dollar, every cent of your income should be going. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share could genuinely change the direction of your financial life. Quick note before we dive in. If financial freedom is something you're working towards, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I post practical money videos every week that are actually designed to help you build wealth, not just talk about it. Now let's get into it. Let's start with a question that most people never actually sit with. Why, in a world where there's more information about money than at any point in human history, more YouTube videos, more podcasts, more financial apps, why are so many people still broke? According to a 2023 report from the Federal Reserve, nearly 40% of Americans wouldn't be able to cover an unexpected $400 expense without borrowing money or selling something. And this isn't just a low-income problem. Studies consistently show that people earning 6-figure salaries are living paycheck to paycheck too. One survey found that over 60% of Americans earning above $100,000 per year describe themselves as financially stretched. So what is actually going on? Here's the real issue, and I want you to hear this clearly. Society teaches us to earn money. But it does not teach us to manage it. School teaches you how to get a job. It teaches you how to work for a wage. But it does not teach you the rules that wealthy people actually live by. The top 1% aren't just earning more. They think about money differently. They move money differently. And the biggest difference of all is this: they treat their income as a tool, not a destination. When most people get paid, the money flows out almost immediately. Rent, bills, food, then whatever is left gets spent on things that feel good in the moment, but build nothing. The wealthy do it in reverse. They allocate first. They decide in advance where every portion of their income goes, to growth, to stability, and to essentials, before they ever get the chance to spend it emotionally. This is the core of what I call the Money Allocation Method. And we're going to break it down right now. The system I use divides every single naira or dollar of income into 4 clear buckets. 25% goes to growth. This is the money that builds your future. 15% goes to stability. This is the money that protects you from falling apart. 50% goes to essentials. This is the money that keeps your life running. and 10% goes to rewards. This is the money that keeps you sane and motivated. Now, I know your first instinct might be to say, I don't have 25% to invest, or I can barely cover my essentials. And I hear you. But here's the thing. This system is percentage-based, not income-based. It works on $800 a month. It works on $8,000 a month. The proportions stay the same. Only the amounts change. And the longer you delay starting, the more it costs you. Let me show you what I mean. Or Pillar 1, growth. The first 25% of your income belongs to growth. This is the money that is going to work for you while you sleep. Let me give you a real example of why starting early matters more than starting big. Imagine two people. Let's call them Amara and Daniel. Amara starts putting away just $150 per month at age 22. Daniel waits until he is 32. But because he wants to catch up, he invests $250 per month. By the time they both hit 60, who has more money? Most people say Daniel because he put in more each month. But they're wrong. Based on a 10% average annual return, which is roughly the historical average of the S&P 500 over the last century, Amara's total portfolio would be worth approximately $1.1 million. Daniel's, around $565,000. Amara invested less money overall, but ended up with almost double the result, purely because she started a decade earlier. That's compound growth, and it is the single most powerful force in personal finance. Albert Einstein reportedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Whether he said it or not, the math absolutely backs it up. So what should you actually invest your 25% in? I want you to think of your investment options on a spectrum, from lower risk at one end to higher risk at the other. At the lower end, you have index funds and ETFs. These are my personal foundation. Rather than trying to pick individual winning stocks, which even professional fund managers frequently get wrong, you invest in a broad basket of companies. An S&P 500 index fund, for example, it gives you the small slice of the 500 largest companies in the United States. If the U.S. economy grows over time, so does your investment. Historically, that fund has returned an average of around 10% annually before inflation. Next up, you have real estate. If you have the capital, rental property can generate both monthly income and long-term appreciation. If direct ownership isn't accessible to you yet, REITs, real estate investment trusts, let you invest in real estate portfolios the same way you'd buy a stock. In the middle of the spectrum, you have skills. I know this might sound less like a traditional investment, but hear me out. Learning a high-income skill, coding, copywriting, digital marketing, financial consulting, gives you a return that no market can take from you. The risk is your time. But the reward can be income that multiplies everything else you're doing. Further up the risk scale, you have individual stocks and online businesses, both of which can pay off significantly, but require deeper knowledge and tolerance for loss. And at the top, alternative assets, cryptocurrency, commodities, collectibles. These can produce life-changing returns. They can also destroy your portfolio overnight. I'm not saying avoid them entirely. I dabble myself. But I never allocate more to them than I am genuinely prepared to lose. Now, where you house these investments matters enormously from a tax perspective. In the United States, the two most powerful accounts are the Roth IRA and the 401k. The Roth IRA allows you to contribute money that has already been taxed. Every penny of growth comes out completely tax-free in retirement. The government limits contributions to $7,000 per year if you're under 50. The 401k, on the other hand, lets you invest pre-tax dollars, reducing your taxable income today. And many employers will match your contributions, which is effectively free money. If your employer offers a match and you're not taking it, you are leaving real money on the table. If you're outside the US, your country very likely has equivalent tax-advantaged accounts. In the UK, it's the Stocks and Shares ISA, with a £20,000 annual allowance and completely tax-free growth. Do the research for your specific region, because the right account structure can make a substantial difference to your long-term results. The final step? Automate it. Set up a standing order so that the moment your income arrives, that 25% moves straight into your investment account before you ever see it in your spending account. The goal is to make investing feel as automatic and non-negotiable as paying rent. Pillar 2, stability. Now let's talk about the 15% that most people completely skip and then pay dearly for later. Stability is not glamorous. It doesn't compound into millions. It doesn't go viral. But let me tell you, the day you actually need it, nothing on earth feels more valuable. A few years ago, I was in a situation where an unexpected expense, a car repair that came out of nowhere, threatened to derail everything I had been building. I didn't have a proper emergency buffer at the time. I had been so focused on investing and growing that I hadn't prioritized protecting what I already had. I ended up having to make some uncomfortable decisions, including temporarily pulling back on investments at exactly the wrong moment. That experience taught me something I now consider non-negotiable. Without financial stability, your growth strategy is always just one crisis away from collapse. A 2022 Federal Reserve study found that 56% of Americans cannot cover an unexpected $1,000 expense without going into debt. Let that sink in. More than half of people in one of the wealthiest nations on earth are one bad week away from borrowing money. Your stability fund exists to make sure you're not one of them. Here's how to build it. Step 1. Calculate your monthly baseline. Write down every essential expense: rent, utilities, transport, groceries, insurance, internet if it's required for work. Add them up. That total is your monthly baseline. Now multiply that by 5. That's your stability fund target. If your monthly baseline is $1,500, your target is $7,500. Step 2. Store it in the right place. This money has 3 rules. 1, it must be accessible within 24 hours. Not locked away in a notice account or a 12-month fixed deposit. When life goes wrong, it usually does so quickly. 2, it must carry 0 risk. Do not invest your emergency fund in the stock market, not even in conservative ETFs. Because when a financial emergency strikes, there is every chance the market is also down, which means you'd be selling at a loss. 3, it should still be earning something. A high-yield savings account is ideal. As of early 2026, several reputable accounts are offering between 4% and 5% annual interest, with no withdrawal penalties. That's enough to at least partially offset inflation while your fund sits ready. Step 3. Build it fast. Automate a transfer of 15% of each paycheck directly into your stability fund the day you get paid. If you ever have to dip into it, and that's entirely the point of having it, commit to replacing whatever you used on your very next pay cycle. Treat restoring the fund as a bill you owe yourself. Once your stability fund hits its target, you have a decision. You can roll that 15% into your growth investments, giving your wealth building an extra boost, or you can redirect it into one of the other pillars. But whatever you do, never dismantle the fund entirely. Life is unpredictable. Your stability buffer is what keeps one bad month from becoming a bad year. I want to pause for a second and ask, have you ever had a financial emergency that hit you without any cushion in place? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one, and I genuinely love to know where you're starting from. Your story might also help someone else feel less alone in this. All right, we're now at the 50%, the chunk of your income that covers your actual life. Pillar 3, essentials. And I want to say something up front. 50% might feel tight to some of you. You might be thinking, my rent alone is more than 50% of my income. And if that's the case, I understand. And I'll address that. But here's the harder truth. The reason so many people feel like their money disappears before the month ends is not because essentials are too expensive. It's because we've been conditioned to treat luxuries as essentials. Essentials are the things that keep you alive, sheltered, and functional. That's your rent or mortgage, your groceries, utilities, basic transport, necessary insurance, and the internet connection you genuinely need for work, not for Netflix and 3 other streaming platforms. That's it. Everything else is discretionary. This matters because most people are spending between 65% and 75% of their income on what they think are essentials. When you draw a firm line at 50%, you force yourself to confront what's actually necessary versus what just feels necessary. The 2 categories that will make or break this budget are housing and transport. These 2 alone account for the majority of most people's spending. On housing, if you're renting, don't be afraid to negotiate. Most landlords would rather keep a reliable tenant than face the hassle of relisting and vetting a new one. Even holding your rent steady when it's due for a renewal is a win worth pursuing. On transport, one of the fastest ways the top 1% think differently is that they don't treat their car as a status symbol. A car is a tool, a depreciating tool at that. A new vehicle loses a significant portion of its value the moment it leaves the dealership. Buying a reliable used car that has already absorbed the steepest depreciation is not settling. It's strategic. To keep your 50% in check, I'd recommend building a simple decision-making process for every non-routine purchase. When you're about to buy something, ask yourself 3 things. First, is this an impulse or an intention? If you've been thinking about it for more than a week and it serves a real need, it's probably intentional. If it caught your eye 5 minutes ago, give it 7 days before you buy. Most things lose their appeal in that time. Second, am I paying for the brand or the value? Wealthy people are not brand loyal in the way that marketers want you to be. They're value loyal. A $60 pair of shoes worn 80 times gives you far better value per wear than $180 shoes worn 4 times. Third, will this genuinely improve my life or am I just trying to fill a gap? Boredom spending and status spending are 2 of the biggest silent wealth killers there are. Build the habit of running purchases through those 3 questions, and you will naturally start to free up money you didn't know you had. This is the part that most money videos skip entirely, and I think that's a huge mistake. The final 10% of your income is your rewards budget. And before you raise your eyebrows, let me be clear. This is not a concession. This is a strategy. Research consistently shows that people who allow themselves no financial pleasure burn out of their saving and investing habits far more quickly than those who build intentional reward spending into their system. One study found that 92% of people overspend significantly after periods of strict financial discipline. The reason? Deprivation isn't sustainable. Your brain treats it like a diet. The longer you restrict, the stronger the eventual blowout. So this 10% exists precisely to prevent that. What do you spend it on? Whatever genuinely matters to you. But I want to push you toward experiences over things. Research in behavioral economics, including well-known work from Cornell University, consistently finds that people derive more lasting happiness from experiences, travel, concerts, meals with people they love, than from material possessions. The reason is simple. We adapt to things. Your new phone becomes your normal phone within weeks. But a trip, a great evening, a weekend away with someone you care about, those memories don't depreciate, they compound. Set up a separate account for this. I like to call it a joy fund. Automate 10% of your income into it every single month. When it's in there, spend it without guilt. When it runs out, it runs out. You wait for next month. That limit is what gives it value and keeps you honest with the other 90%. This isn't about being frivolous. It's about being whole. The people who build the most durable wealth aren't the ones who deprive themselves endlessly. They're the ones who figure out how to enjoy the journey while staying focused on the destination. So let's bring this home. The top 1% are not just people who earn more. They are people who have fundamentally different rules for how money flows through their lives. They allocate before they spend. They invest before they feel ready. They protect before they need to. And they allow themselves to enjoy the journey without blowing up the plan. The 25-15-50-10 system is not complicated. And it's not exclusive to people with high incomes or fancy degrees. It is a set of habits and decisions that anyone can adopt, starting from wherever they are right now. Whether you're in Lagos, London, or Los Angeles, whether you're earning $500 this month or $5,000. The only thing that separates the people who build real wealth from the people who don't is not talent, not background, and not luck. It's the decision to start and the discipline to stay consistent. Wealthy people didn't get there by waiting until the conditions were perfect. They got there by making the right decision repeatedly, even when it was uncomfortable, even when the progress felt slow. The goal is not to look wealthy. The goal is to build something that is financially difficult to break. A life with enough margin that one bad month can't erase everything you've built. A portfolio that grows quietly while you sleep. A stability fund that turns crises into inconveniences. A reward budget that reminds you why you're doing this in the first place. That is what managing money, like the top 1%, actually looks like. Not flashy, not overnight, but real and entirely within your reach. Start today, even if it's just 1%. Start. If this video gave you a new way of looking at your money, I want to ask you for one small thing. Share it. Send this video to one friend, one family member, one person in your life who you know is struggling with their finances. Because honestly, this is the kind of stuff that schools should be teaching but aren't. You sharing it could genuinely change someone's direction. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. There are a lot more videos coming on exactly how to build wealth from wherever you're starting. I'll see you in the next one.